Have you ever felt like your brain is literally always on, but you still can't seem to focus on a single task for more than 10 minutes? Yeah, if so, you are definitely not alone. It's kind of become this modern epidemic, you know? This completely exhausting feeling where our minds are continuously racing, but our actual attention spans are just totally fractured. I mean, we are processing more data in a single day than our ancestors did in a lifetime, but our ability to actually sit with that information, it's never been lower. So what you're experiencing right now, it isn't an accident, and it is absolutely not a personal failure. See, most people don't realize that they're living through what we call a silent collapse of mental strength. These are tiny, sneaky digital habits that we all tend to ignore. But day by day, they are quietly draining our confidence and our mental clarity. In a world completely hooked on oversharing and constant stimulation, just recognizing this subtle collapse is your very first step to taking your mind back. In today's explainer, we are diving deep into exactly what happens to your brain when you decide to step away from the scroll. We're going to break down a 7-day digital detox protocol. And look, making the decision to step away isn't just about taking a quick weekend break, it is a full-blown mental evolution. We're going to explore the precise neurological shifts that kick in when we go offline for just 1 week, and show you how your brain finally shifts out of that panic survival mode and back into a state of immense, powerful growth. Okay, here's our roadmap. 1. The silent collapse. 2. Breaking the slot machine. 3. Recovering cognitive bandwidth. 4. The incubation effect. 5. Digital minimalism mindset. And 6. A sharper, calmer brain. Let's look at this timeline to see exactly how this unfolds. Over the next 7 days, the process happens in distinct phases. Days 1 and 2 are all about breaking habits. Days 3 and 4, we're recovering bandwidth. Days 5 and 6 are for deep processing, and by day 7, the rewiring is complete.
So, Section 1. The silent collapse. Understanding the baseline crisis.
Moving right into Section 2. Breaking the slot machine. Days 1 and 2, the withdrawal.
First, we've really got to establish our starting line by recognizing how modern digital habits push our minds to their absolute breaking points. Those first 48 hours? Oh, they are fast, they are chaotic, and they are usually the hardest. Why? Because we are literally breaking an addiction. The demand for your attention is relentless, so when you abruptly cut it off, it sends a very real shock right through your nervous system. Now, why is it so hard to just stop scrolling? Well, it comes down to variable reward reinforcement. Basically, this is a behavioral conditioning technique where rewards are given at completely unpredictable intervals, which creates highly addictive habits. Social platforms condition your mind using this exact mechanism. It's exactly like having a slot machine right in your pocket. Because you never know what the next pull of the lever will bring, a funny video, stressful news, a message. It gives you random bursts of dopamine. It keeps you hooked, demands your constant attention, and completely tanks your natural focus. Now, check out the contrast here. On the left, we've got this reactive survival mode. You know that feeling, right? That automatic, immediate urge to check your phone the second you wake up or the exact moment there's a lull in conversation. Your brain is desperately anticipating a threat or a reward. But on the right, we have cognitive control. By actively practicing this during the first 2 days, which just means intentionally taking a pause and a breath before you react to a digital impulse, your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain, finally starts to override those emotional urges. You are physically taking the wheel back.
Section 3. Recovering cognitive bandwidth. Days 3 and 4, the rebound.
As we push into the middle of the week, the tension from that initial withdrawal really starts to lift. You'll begin to notice a super empowering shift in your mental energy. And this brings us to cognitive bandwidth. This is the limited mental capacity you have available for processing information, making decisions, and deep thinking. The human brain, no matter how smart you are, has a finite amount of this bandwidth every single day. When every scroll, ping, and email demands your attention, you suffer from intense decision fatigue. Your brain is constantly asking, do I look at this? Do I care? Do I reply? So your cognitive bandwidth drops drastically. For driven, self-aware people, you quickly hit a point where all this ambient noise becomes incredibly mentally expensive. It drains your tank before you even start doing real work.
But look at how you upgrade your processing power once you just remove that noise on days 3 and 4. When you stop consuming shallow content, your brain literally stops adapting to shallow thinking. It's amazing. You start to reclaim all that freed up energy. Suddenly, you've got the bandwidth for deep learning. You can read a book without immediately losing your place. You have the energy for creating. You're upgrading your processing power for things that actually compound over time instead of just vanishing into an endless feed.
Section 4. The Incubation Effect. Days 5 and 6, the magic.
So by days 5 and 6, the pace of your brain fundamentally shifts. Everything slows down into this deep, calm, incredibly focused state. And this triggers what's known as the incubation effect. This is a psychological phenomenon where your absolute best ideas and insights only surface after you've completely disconnected from constant stimulation. Ever wonder why your best ideas come to you in the shower or on a quiet walk? By trading daily consumption for actual silence, you allow your brain to enter background processing mode. Your mind essentially needs to be a little bit bored to connect different pieces of information. This is where real breakthrough insight and high-level creative thinking actually happen.
Notice the massive transformation happening here. You're moving away from being a passive consumer, someone who just endlessly absorbs the world, scrolling through other people's thoughts and opinions. And you're evolving into an active creator. Because you aren't drowning in everyone else's noise, you finally have the mental space, the original ideas, and the cognitive energy to actively shape the world around you.
Section 5. Digital Minimalism Mindset. Day 7. Waking up from the illusion.
By the end of the week, you aren't just escaping the digital world anymore. You are waking up to the real one. Look at this shift to privacy and power. Over the week, you develop a much higher sense of privacy. You establish strict digital boundaries about who gets your attention. You realize a potent truth. Mystery is power. You don't actually need to share every move you make. And, maybe most importantly, you're successfully detaching your self-worth from screen validation. Your worth isn't negotiable, and it definitely doesn't depend on an algorithm validating you.
And finally, Section 6, a sharper, calmer brain, the rewiring.
We've finally arrived at the ultimate result of this explainer. At the end of the 7 days, your brain isn't just rested, it is rewired. I absolutely love this summary because it makes the trade-off so clear. Look at what you lost versus what you gained. You lost social media clutter and gained freed working memory. You lost that high cortisol from doom scrolling and gained seriously lowered stress levels. And instead of that toxic cycle of social comparison, you've gained unshakable internal validation.
Because of this rewiring, your completely new baseline comes down to 3 steps. Step 1, pause. Step 2, think. Step 3, respond. Instead of knee-jerk reactions to every notification, you now have the cognitive space to pause, think deeply, and respond with purpose. You act, you don't react. And that is the absolute hallmark of a sharp, intelligent mind. So, if you're watching this and feeling ready to take action, remember this. Deleting your apps or choosing silence isn't a sign of weakness. It's not you failing to keep up. It is a sign of immense personal growth. Feeling the urge to start fresh just means your mind is craving clarity over chaos. It's your brain demanding an upgrade.
I want to leave you with this final thought. Silence can be louder and more meaningful than any social media post. Think about it. What could your mind achieve if you finally stepped away from the noise, broke the slot machine, and gave yourself the silence you actually need? Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.